Gauteng Premier Nomvula Mokonyane has delivered her fifth State of the Province address. Mokonyane highlighted her government's achievements and also outlined its priorities for the next year. Let's get some response now from the DA National Spokesperson and DA Provincial Premier candidate Mmusi Maimane. Thank you so much for joining us. So you were in the legislature this afternoon. Your assessment?
Yeah, it felt like a political speech designed for re-election rather than in fact discussing a state of the province. South Africans, we can't deny the fact that we've made progress. But what ultimately is a challenge was the fact that I felt Premier Nomvula Mokonyane ignored some of the most critical issues, that the people of Gauteng are unemployed, that Gauteng leads every other province in terms of corruption, and more critically, that in fact people of Gauteng don't feel safe. And I felt she glossed over those issues who are very fundamental to the economy of Gauteng.
She did speak about corruption though. She said that her administration had taken bold decisions on issues of management, leadership and financial controls and accountability, which are central to some of the problems we've seen in the Gauteng administration.
At one level, but except when you talk about a plan as to how to deal with corruption, it's been escalating. Premier Nomvula Mokonyane has made exactly the same statements. I could have copied that from her first State of the Province address and a second one. And so it's been an ongoing issue. It is a clear indicator that talk is one thing, but ultimately when you look at the actual stats itself, there's a rise. You know, corruption in this province costs us just over 6 billion rand. So you can appreciate what that would do. That could build a whole community, or that could build, that could provide so many houses. This is the tension. These are the trade-offs that we're talking about.
You also say that not enough was said or done about jobs, but we also know that the Gauteng government is introducing these internships for young learners and that great jobs have been created due to the expanded public works program.
It is precisely the challenge. Extended public works programs and governments can only do so much to the issue of job creation. The fundamental issue...
But young people in Gauteng are benefiting from those jobs.
But the critical issue about job creation is about economic growth. It's about creating a climate in the province where private sector-led jobs, those become sustainable. When you talk about internships, an internship is an internship, it's good for that purpose. But once the young person graduates, they get back into the cycle of unemployment because there's just not enough jobs that are being created by the province.
It is a start to give them that work experience.
Nobody's dismissing that, neither am I. I'm simply saying the economy of Gauteng must grow at a particular level in order for us to create the requisite jobs. We must be growing at least at 8%. It's consistent with what's happening in Africa. It's consistent with what we want to see, because ultimately that gives sustainable real jobs. It allows entrepreneurs to emerge, people who start their own businesses so they can go. So what I heard today is more of government engaging in that way, and we live in a mixed economy, so there's nothing wrong about that.
The Gauteng government promising to spend 10 billion rand on roads. Will that not deliver jobs?
I hope it does. But Gauteng has promised enough times to spend on various programs. We've spoken about expenditure in healthcare that's resulted in a hospital not being built. That 10 billion rands, the fundamental question here is that Premier Nomvula Mokonyane discussed a number of roads that they're going to invest in. And we know for a fact that as far as the Gauteng Freeway Improvement Project, that in fact those roads are going to be tolled. So the very taxpayer...
She's saying here that they won't be tolled.
The taxpayer is going to finance. Those issues are in the Gauteng Freeway Improvement Project. And I would welcome an investment into infrastructure, but I'm concerned that taxpayers are going to have to finance it in the long run.
Did you see anything worthwhile or that was positive from the Premier's speech?
I thought the idea of the girl child is something that the Premier and I share. We celebrate. I think the fact that more children are able to start school is a very vital thing, and feeding of communities is a very important thing. And then I think that puts us in a space where in the long run we can have a lot more females come through schools. And I thought that was a powerful moment, and so I thought that was important in the speech and very well articulated, and that's something that the Gauteng government has worked on.
We're coming up for elections. You're the DA's premier candidate. How confident are your chances?
Oh, we're feeling very strong. I think we've seen indicators all the way around change. This weekend has certainly been a critical indicator of our strength and the ability that we're legitimate contenders. And our polls are telling us that the ANC is certainly below 50%. And so it's going to be a fascinating election in Gauteng as people can choose between one vision and an alternative on the table.
Thank you so much for your time. Mmusi Maimane is the DA's national spokesperson and the party's candidate for Gauteng Premier.
Know more about your world.
eNCA.com